to continue working on my custom 2000X Beastman. And so I'll just give everyone a moment to log on and watch. And while we're waiting, I guess I will show you guys some stuff I got. So let's see if I can find it. There we go. So I got the cuckoo, the Stepford cuckoos, and I got them because they come with 3 heads. And for customizing, that's going to be awesome to have 3 heads to use. Hey Ben, thanks for joining us. And another figure I got, which is pretty cool, is from the Spider-Man collection, and it's Black Cat. I've always liked Black Cat. She's a really awesome superhero combo, bad guy at the same time. And of course, you know me, I'm a Spider-Man fan. So anyway, looks like we got some people on here now, so let's go ahead and dive into this. So first of all, what I've done since the last video is I've put the clear coat on him. So he's been all a clear coat. Hey Crank, thanks for joining us. And then I've also painted up the armor. This was the light brown armor with the black spikes originally, and I painted it brown, you know, kind of to match this, but not exactly. I wanted it a little bit lighter, but similar. And then I also painted the arm bands to match. So there you go. So those have been painted. I also pulled his feet off to do a size check on some heat shrink tubing. I was thinking about using this 1-inch heat shrink tubing, but I don't know if it's going to shrink far enough. My wife's in the middle of picking up some 3/4 inch heat shrink tubing for me, so hopefully I'll be able to get that. Let's see, Dave Kane said he spotted Origins at Target. That's cool. Thanks for letting us know. I appreciate it, man. All right, and then I've also sized these holes up a little bit larger inside his hands with a Dremel tool just to make his hands fit in there better when I go to use his hands. Now I have these older hands that I've been using to just kind of do my test fits, but I am going to actually use the new hands from this figure once I get that ready. So first things first, let's get some more parts. So the parts I'm going to harvest from this figure today is going to be his loincloth, his wrist cuffs, and his 4 different pieces on his arms right here. I don't know if I'll get those off today or not, but that's part of our plan as well. So let's first take off this armor because we want to save this because it's kind of hard to find this armor sometimes. And it's good for other figures too. It's just kind of a fun armor to have. So let's set that aside. And let's get the loincloth first. So to get the loincloth, you just grab your figure. And I know you guys are going to cringe when I do this. And you're just going to snap it just like that to take that off. And there we go. The funny thing is it's getting easier and easier to snap these. So I'm guessing the plastic's starting to break down on these figures. I know someone online said that their figure was already broken around the waist here. So I'm guessing the plastic's breaking down because that was way too easy to break. It used to be a lot harder to snap those. So, all right. And while I start to work on this loincloth, let's go ahead and soak this figure in the hot water over here. And that way we can get his arm cuffs off of his wrists. All right, so for this here, we need to actually cut this around and then sand it so that will fit onto our Bigfoot over there. So I happen to have some sharp scissors here. And our goal is, just like you've seen in other videos, is to basically turn this into like a giant belt that will go around the figure. I'm going to heat this up because it's not cutting very well, just so that it will cut. So let's just throw that in there, let that sit for a moment. All right, so while waiting for that to sit, let's go ahead and talk about this armor and how it fits on there. If you take a look, you can see this armor doesn't quite fit. If we heat it up a little bit, then we can stretch it around and have it fit on his body correctly. So you can see how it will look once that goes on there. And then of course the armband's the same way. We'll separate the arm right here at the bicep with some heat, and then we'll slide those on that way. Trying to go this way over this forearm right here where the joint is will be very difficult. So I want to just take off the bicep right here and just slide it down that direction. It'll be a lot easier to install it. All right, let's go ahead and see how that loincloth is doing. Actually, let's take a look. Oh, yep, rip Beastman. Poor guy. Wow, it was all wave 3. Hey, Dave, whereabouts do you live? Are you in the United States or are you somewhere else? 'Cause I'm really curious now. Let's see what Dave said. Dave hasn't replied back. Dave Kane, if you're on there, man, I want to know for your wave 3 in Target, where are you at, man? You don't have to give me your exact address or nothing, just kind of a rough estimate, like what state. All right, let's go ahead and cut this around while we're waiting for the other parts to heat up. Or while we're waiting for Dave to answer about the wave 3 figures from Target. All right. All right, so we got that cut all the way around, and now we got to sand this. I kind of wish I would have cut it closer. That's going to be quite a lot of sanding, but oh well. We'll just sand it really quick. Be done with it. Let's take a look here. I'm going to swap out my sanding disc because it's getting kind of old. I've been using it for a lot of sanding and haven't changed it in a long time. So I have 2 different drums that I use. I'm trying to find the secondary drum. There it is. Actually, this one's not too worn out. So this drum right here requires a screwdriver to put on there. And this drum right here is actually just a twist and click in place. So I'm going to go ahead and use this easy quick release one. It has some plastic that's kind of melted on there, so I'm going to pull this one off. So again, you just pull it off like that. Oh, maybe I used a little too much heat when I was there we go. Let's get ourselves a nice, look at this. You got super rough and you got a little finer. I'm going to go with the little finer one. I should go with the rough one. Just rip through it and then use a fine. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a rougher one just to rip through it quickly since I left so much on there. And then I will finish it up with a stone just to smooth it out. Alright, got my Dremel tool plugged in. Swap out that stone for the sanding disc or sanding tube. Let's just get this thing sanded quickly around. And for those of you who've watched my videos before, you know I've seen me do this before with lots of other figures. From the Titus Giant to the 2000X He-Man, the Ice Armor He-Man, I've done the same technique over and over again. I'm just sanding the loincloth around. Pretty easy technique. It's a great way to repurpose parts from one figure to another, basically, by sanding them off. And we're going to do the same thing with the wrist cuffs when we get to that point, too. You want to be careful not to sand too much and to try to keep everything round. If you have any jagged edges, they're going to end up ripping on you in those spots. Because it'll cause stress risers right there and cause an issue. Okay, you can see where I'm at there. I got a little bit left to do on that back side where it's not quite rounded right here. So I'm just going to go in that area and do that. That looks pretty good. Okay, just to smooth it up, I'm going to use a stone on it. Matt says he's always felt sorry for Beastman getting the wrong side of his Havoc staff. That's funny, man. All right, so now I'm going to stick this in the hot water so it's easily stretchable, and then we'll stretch it on over our figure over there, and that should hopefully fix that problem. Oh, thanks. Yeah, wife just brought the heat shrink tubing. Cool, cool. We'll see how that fits later on and see if we can use that. The Internia Dremel, yep. That's funny. Oop. All right, so let's see if he's soft and pliable, and he's very soft and pliable. Let's go ahead and take his hand, and now we're going to cut off his wrist cuff. Make sure I'm not cutting off anything that's going to cause any damage. Ugh, and there we go. Now, what's nice about Beastman is they actually made a lot of hollow parts on him just so he wouldn't use so much plastic. So a lot of our work's already done for us. So that's kind of cool about this figure here. Now, we have to make some decisions here on how you want to put this on. You can see that it's much smaller than his arms. So one school of thought is to leave this piece right here so we can use that as our plug in and out. But if you do that, then this front part won't stretch very wide. So I decided I'm going to actually go and sand it out completely and then stretch it on over here. Now, once I figure out how far this goes on, I'm going to sand off some of the fur down here just so it fits on there better. And then same on this side as well. So let's go ahead, and I may sand some of this flat as well just so it fits better on there. All right, let's go and soak his other arm while I sand this one out. So that will be ready to be pulled out in a minute. And let's go and switch to this bit right here. Like I said before, the nice part is a lot of this work's already done for us because it is a hollow figure. Now, one thing I'd be careful of is not overheating this, otherwise the paint will burn and then it will not work very well. So be careful not to overheat this. I know, it's a pretty long, slow process. So I did watch that Wonder Woman. It was kind of interesting. I noticed the guy who plays Max Lord is the Mandalorian. That was kind of cool. So that was kind of fun, seeing him in a different role. It's like watching Molar at work. Let me get that root canal for you. I didn't know he was in Game of Thrones. Yeah, I've never actually seen Game of Thrones, believe it or not. I've been tempted to watch it a few times, but just never got around to it. All right, so I got a good start on here. I still got a ways to go, but let's go ahead and cut off the other one too. So I heated this side up as well, and it's nice and pliable. Let's get his hand out of there and not wreck it. There we go. And then take my handy scissors here and just chop that off. You can see where I have that lined up. And just cut. And just like the other one, it's already hollow. So we already got a good head start on it. So I'm going to let this one cool for a few minutes while I work on the other one. So I'm guessing there's probably a lot of Star Wars fans out there. Oh, Matt's had a good Christmas. Yeah, I had a good Christmas. It worked out really good. I got to see most of the kids, so that was cool, and grandkids. I'm now a new grandpa again. I've just had my 5th grandchild. He was just born the other day. So, woohoo! 5 grandkids now. Thanks, man. All right, let's switch back to the other one where that one's cooling off. Yep. He does play with a couple of the figures that I've altered. He has like the Man-at-Arms Rock. So it's got the Rock head and Man-at-Arms body and a couple other figures, but not a lot yet for my grandson. He's 2. He's the only one that's the boy of the 5. Like I said, my oldest granddaughter, I inundated her with She-Ra. She had tons and tons of She-Ra. I promised my other son that I would not push He-Man or She-Ra on his 2 kids. So his daughters are exempt from getting all the cool He-Man She-Ra stuff. But they're in the Star Wars, so that's fun too. All right, this is coming out pretty nice. Now my goal is to not damage the paint at all. Then I can just stick it on without having to repaint anything. So that's my goal, is to keep the factory paint on there. All right, let's switch this up and work on the other one. Yeah, I'm not 40, man. I'm in my 50s. But thanks for the compliment. It's funny, my oldest granddaughter, she calls me Ancient One. And I call her Little One. It's kind of funny. So she calls me Ancient One. I said, I'm not shaving my head. Granomir. Yeah, so my oldest granddaughter just became a teenager. Scary times. So in case you guys are wondering the age. It's taking forever. Holy cow. I thought it'd go a lot quicker since it was hollowed out, but it still has a lot of material in there. That's cool, Dean. Good to hear. Let's see if this one will fit. It might be a little dangerous to use that one. Let me find a different stone. This is just taking way too long. I had some new ones. I'm not sure where they're at, though. They must be in the other room. Let me try this one just to see how it responds. Yes, there's a lot of shredded parts. It's all over my pants, too. Whew. That is loud, loud. That heated that up pretty quick. All right, Crank. Thanks for joining us, man. That really worked going to this larger one. Kind of knock off some of the larger material on the inside, so that was cool. Oh, New York. Nice. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Whoa. Man, this takes so long. Well, the good news is I'm going to take all these video clips eventually and make a fast build. But you guys get to sit with me and watch me do the slow process. Thanks for hanging out with me. All right, let's switch to the other stone now and finish this up. Now it's cool. Take a look. You can see when I get really close to getting it done, it starts to separate the brown from the green. And that's what you want. You want it sanded so low that it actually breaks away that brown from the green, so you can see where the Four Horsemen sculpted it. And it should just break off on its own when it reaches that point. So you have just the cuff left. And you can see how it's starting to break off right around there. And that's what we're trying to do. Yep. This is just part 2 of the other live one. Until I finish my Beastman figure, I'll probably have a couple of these. Who knows? Maybe I'll finish it up in this video. And then on this side, you want to get rid of that lip all the way around. So that's our goal. Right, this one's just about done. Always reminds me of when you're eating cantaloupe, getting as close to the rind as you can without going too deep. It tastes yucky. That side looks good. This side's got a little bit more to go. Now the walls are getting very thin on this. You have to be really careful. One wrong move and you can go through the wall and then it's wasted. There we go. Whew. One done. That is beautiful. Now on to the other one. Let's continue it up. Now this side he's a little more careful with because some of the design actually has cracks already in it. And if you sand too low, it will break in those same spots. So we have to be a little careful on this side. Not to go too crazy. And again, it's like on the other side. You just want to get it so this starts to come off. And you can see I'm reaching that point where it's coming off naturally, which means I'm reaching the edge of the design, of the sculpt, which is what we want. Yeah, sorry I can't read some of your comments right now, so I'm getting pretty close to the end of this. But I'll stop in a minute and read some of your guys' comments. well, someone just told me that I messed up my title on my video. It says Bestman instead of Beastman. You gotta love Siri when you speak into it, right? Anyway, let's go ahead and finish cleaning some of this off. All right, there we go. We got 2 of them done, ready to go on to the figure. So let's take a look at some of the comments while those are cooling down. Let's see. Do you have different techniques, or do you stick with one only? Right at the cuff. This is a great video. Thanks, man. All right, so let's see. Let's see. This guy general has a question. I have a question for modeling and stuff for He-Man figures. Do you have several techniques? Use certain ones when you specifically need, or do you always just stick with one technique? So obviously, I try to use the same parts whenever I can. So you'll see quite often I will, if I'm making a custom figure, if I can use a part from another figure and just kit bash it, that's what I'll do. If not, there's been times where I've actually taken parts and 3D printed them and made them on the computer first to bring them out. An example is for the leg pieces that are going to go on here later. I actually 3D printed those and then put them on there. So again, it just depends on the application of what I'm going to do. So hopefully it answers your question. Let's see, if you wanted to refer to someone to this part of the video, would it be called a cuff link? That's funny. All right. Well, thanks, Matt, for saying that you thought the best man applied to me. I appreciate that, man. Good stuff. And let's go ahead and plug in our heat gun and get his arms apart and start putting this guy together. Now, I could use hot water for this piece here to do the arms, and hot water would work pretty good, but since I painted it, I don't want to ruin the paint job, because sometimes hot water can ruin your paint. Mine should be fine because I painted it so long ago. I'm going to move this heat shrink tubing just so I don't accidentally shrink it. Now when you heat up a figure, in order to take it apart, you want to heat it up from all the angles, keep rotating it so it doesn't overheat in any spot, and give the heat time to go through the figure. So you want to give it time to propagate through the whole entire figure. This arm's kind of large and has a long ways to go to get to the middle part of the bicep. So you might get it really hot on the outside, but the heat has to actually make it all the way deep down to where the connection is. Which is why I like using hot water, because it just saturates the part better with heat. But since we're not using hot water in this case, I need to be careful about it. Actually, you know what? I forgot about his loincloth. I dropped it in this water a long time ago. It's just been sitting in here heating up. Let's go ahead and put this on, since it's been sitting so long, and just see how this fits on there. And again, I'm just going to stretch it up over the parts. It's funny, when my daughter was younger, she had Polly Pockets, and I remember stretching the little rubber clothes over those Polly Pockets. This always reminds me of that same kind of thing with the stretching of the rubber clothes over the figure. Now in a minute I have to go over the butt, and that's going to take a little bit of effort to stretch it that far. I may have to grab a screwdriver to get it. We want to be careful we don't accidentally rip this, so it is going to take a little bit of effort to be careful not to I'm out of camera, sorry about that, not to rip it, because there's a couple sides that are a little thinner than everywhere else. Up and over his butt. Get it over the front. And the funny thing is, Polly Pocket was also made by Mattel. So I'm assuming they probably even use the same kind of rubber to make both the figures anyway. Let's just go ahead and stretch that around. Bring it around town, and you can already see how cool that's going to look once I get all his armor on. So there we go. We got his loincloth on. Part of the battle's already been fought. Hooray. And the nice part is it actually hides some of the articulation, so it's not quite as messy looking up in that loincloth area. So that's pretty cool. All right. That is awfully thin around some of those parts. Okay, so now let's continue heating that arm up. Let's get his arm cuffs on. Thanks, Matt. This is where it gets fun. You finally got all the pieces. Now it's just putting it together like a puzzle. This is the best part of the whole thing. And again, it takes a while for that heat to propagate all the way through that figure. In the hot water, you'd leave it in there for about a minute and a half, so you're probably going to do about the same thing with the heat gun. See if it's gotten warm enough yet. Oh yeah, there we go. Just pop that right off. Grab the armband. Now the arm band, you want to make sure you do this right. So the big spikes go up, and you'll notice that the tricep is the bigger bump on the back. So this one goes with this arm here, and you'll notice also signs are labeled with an L or an R, and you can see the L on there. So this is going to go on the left side, and I got to heat this up too. And once you got that heated up, you just stretch it over his bicep. And Beastman's armor is supposed to sit right in the middle of the bicep. So that's what we're trying to do, is line that right up, right on top of his bicep. Now, because it's such a tight fit, once you get it on there, it's just going to stay right in that spot. It's not going to move on you too much. So you want to get it right the first time, because you're not going to have a second chance later on to get it just right. All right, and there you go. You can see how that lines right up with his tricep on there. And surprisingly, it does work pretty good for this other figure here. So there we go. Let's heat the arm back up and stick it back on. Ugh. There we go. Ta-da! One arm done. Let's get the other arm. Hey, thanks. The first video shows me painting him. So you want to watch that first video. That's where I do the painting. It's a live video, so look at my live video feeds. I made it about a week and a half ago. Let's just see how hot that is. Nope, I still got a long ways to go. All right, it's pretty hot on the outside, but not on the inside. It's got to wait for the heat to propagate. So I just pull the heat back a little bit to keep it so it's maintained as it goes through the plastic. And again, if I had it in hot water, I leave it in there for like a minute and a half. So it's going to take, you know, about that long also when using the heat gun. There we go. Hooray. Now let's heat this up. And again, the back goes on the tricep, so make sure you're facing it the right way. And then you want the front of the band to go on the bicep. Does take a little bit of effort to get it on there just right. And again, you don't want to get this wrong because it'll be really hard later to switch it once it gets stuck on the arm. It's going to be stuck on there pretty good. There we go. That looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and heat it up and put it back on. Hooray, there we go. So we got his shoulder pads on. We don't have his cuffs on yet. So let's take a look at how we're going to install these, because this will be kind of tricky. So first of all, we got to put these on over the fur. Now this fur, like I said, has some rough spots on it right here. It sticks out, which is going to impede that being fit on there correctly. So we need to measure that on there and sand off part of this right here. And if we get too much, it's going to look bad. If we get too little, it's going to still impede it. So I want to go to right there on this one. You can kind of see where the fur breaks up and just stick it in that spot. So let me go and get my Dremel tool out. We'll do some more sanding on this thing. Thanks, Master Far. I appreciate it. If you guys have not checked out Master Far's channel, you guys should check it out. The guy does some really cool customs. He does some transformers and stuff and some other things, and he's got some really good ideas as well. So if you haven't gone to Master Far's channel yet, check it out. All right, so you can see I've kind of sanded off the fur on there. And let's decide which one you want to use on this. So these cuffs are slightly different sizes. This one right here is a little larger, and this one's a little bit smaller. I'm not sure why they did that, but if you take a look at the openings of these hands, you can see this side is a little bigger than this side. So I may want to put the bigger one on this side just to match. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me go ahead and drop these in the water. And I'm going to go grab my spoon really quick. I'll be right back. You guys chat amongst yourselves. Forgot my spoon. All right, got my spoon. I'm ready to go now. And let's go ahead and grab these back out of the hot water. This is the larger one. So let's just stretch this on there. And you can see it's quite a bit of a stretch to get that on there. See, it cools down so fast, it kind of stinks. Let me drop that back in the hot water for a minute, and let me find a screwdriver. Table. And that's why I was saying it's right there. All right, I'm back. I got my screwdriver. Hey, Happy New Year. All right, let's try this again. That is quite the stretch to get that on there. Now, the last time I did one of these figures, I actually ended up, ouch. I ended up just gluing it onto the front because it was so hard to get on there. But I decided this time I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to put it on his wrist. Oh, I already unplugged my heat gun. Hold on a second. I swapped my tools out. Now, whenever you're using a heat gun, there's a couple things to be careful of. One is make sure you don't touch this metal part up here. It gets really hot. So you want to be careful that you do not touch that part. So close. So close, but no cigar. Oh, I almost had it. Come on, you can do it. It stinks. It actually was on there, then slid back off with my finger. Okay, let's try this again. Again with the Polly Pocket gloves, trying to get it on there. Hooray. One down. All right, let's heat it up and put his hand on there. So here's the hands. And this hand goes on this side. There we go. It's just not lining up the way I wanted it to. I may have to do some more sanding on the front of his arm. Let's take a look here and see. There we go. Unfortunately, the problem I have here is his hand is a little bit bent in, and it's made that way on purpose because he's supposed to have his hands kind of like apish, and so it's interfering with the wrist cuffs going on. There we go. Whew! One done. Hooray! Now for the other one. I'm kind of afraid for this one. So let's look at this a little bit before I stick it on. I know the issue is going to be the way these are sticking out so far. So I'm really debating how I want to do that. And then of course this bump right here on this side. Let's go and do a little bit of sanding to make it easier. There we go. Let's plug that heat gun back in. We're going to definitely need that. You guys still arguing about who's the father of Tila? That's funny. Well, thanks for watching that video. I appreciate that. Anytime somebody watches my stuff, it's always good. Well, while we're waiting for that, let's reshape the arm. Actually, you know what? Let's look how cool this club's going to look in his hand. Oh, look at that. That's going to be so cool once he's done. All right, let's get this cuff out of the water. Now, in case you're wondering, I am planning on selling this figure on eBay eventually, so just keep an eye out on my eBay stuff. You guys may see him for sale when he's done, maybe in a week or so, I don't know. But if you guys are curious in owning this cool 2000X Beastman once I have him done, he could potentially be yours. So this side worked a whole lot better than the other side did. Nice. right, let's try to stick his hand in there. Just need to slide this on just a little bit more. There we go, it should work better. There he is. Hooray. It did a slight little bit. I'm just going to fill it full of epoxy stuff. There's some small little cracks already in the cuff. And where those cracks are, when you stretch it, it causes problems like that. That's pretty common. You just got to fix it, paint it. Not that big of a deal. All right, so now what's next is his legs. So I have these little pieces that I've made. I actually 3D printed them. Oh, there's his head for later. And what I'm going to do is take and heat these up a little bit and slide them on. And they go on just like this. Now, the problem is besides putting these on, he also is supposed to have some armor right here on the front of his leg. And he's supposed to have some kind of some sort of armor there as well. Like you can see here on these legs how it looks. So what I need to do is heat these up. Actually, you know what? It just came off just like that. Well, that was easy. Well, one side was easy. There we go. And now these will go right on his knee, just like that. So you can see how that's going to go. So now I need to get my heat shrink tubing. My wife just brought me a few minutes ago. And it's supposed to be a Ziploc thing, but I cannot get the Ziploc to unlock. There we go. Whew. And I had her get me 3/4 of an inch. Let's see how those fit on his legs. Yep, that fits just right. So you can see how it fits nice and tight. And I want it to fit tight so that way then when I go to shrink it, it's going to fit really nice against the back. So I want it to do is go this whole length of his leg. So let me go ahead and cut this. And we'll do one leg first and the other. Hold on a second. I'm back. Had to grab some glue. There we go. And now I'm going to cut this to the right length. And it looks to have to go about right here. Just make it a little bit longer because you can always cut it shorter, but you can't cut it longer. Let's see how that looks. That's about the right length I want it. Now my goal is to have it mostly go in the front here and have some strips going across the back. So to do this, I am going to cut it just like this. Should I get some better scissors? And cut one here. Cut one here. And cut one here. So now I have 4 little cuts in it. And now I'm going to fold these forward and cut these out of my heat shrink tubing. Cut this one off there. There we go. And it looks like a giant letter E. That's what I'm looking for, is a big giant letter E. Let me fix this one right here too. All right. And now I'm going to stick this on his leg with the giant letter E. And when it shrinks, it's going to look like straps around his leg. And that should simulate the armor on the front of his leg. Hey, thanks, man. All right. All right, there we have his armor on his leg now. That looks pretty cool. Let's do the same to the other side. Slide this on there. It's a little bit too long, so let's cut this a little bit shorter. Actually, Master Fall, I may have to bug you later about the Discord. I've never done that before, so I'm not quite sure how to do it exactly. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's cut out our letter E again on this side. And again, cut out these ones here. Oh, that's a bummer. You can see when I sliced it, it actually accidentally got caught on the edge there and sliced it up a little bit too high. So luckily, I happen to have some more heat shrink tubing here. So let's go ahead and do that again. So you want it done right, we don't want it hacked. So let's just go ahead and slice another one and try that again. Now the first time I did this in the very first figure, I actually drew a pencil line so I could see right where to make it so they all kind of line up. But I found sometimes that pencil line is hard to get off after you heat it up. I'm not sure what causes that phenomenon, but it's just really hard to clean off. So I stopped using the pencil line and just kind of eyeball it now. Still a little bit here I gotta cut. Actually, that looks pretty good. All right, let's go and stick it on his leg. And then we'll shrink it around this side too. Now when you shrink this, you want to shrink the front first because you want it to shrink the best around the front. Then go back and follow up by doing the back. So just as a heads up. Make sure it's all shifted in place so it looks good. There we go. All right, well, that armor looks pretty cool. Now to put these on his knees, and you want the bumps up, and we're going to have to take and sand out that little spot right there in the middle. I guess I could cut it out if I was to get some wire cutters to cut that out. Hold on, my other phone died so I can't see your guys' comments. It's going to take a minute for it to come back online. But while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and just continue on by getting these ready. You know, I might try to cut these out just to see what happens. Yeah, it's pretty thick. Let me drop them in the hot water for a little bit, see if we can't heat them up. And while we're waiting, we can go ahead and put these on. So these here I've made on Shapeways, and I already painted them black and brown. They originally came, I believe, black. And you want to put them on this way so the curves go up. That way they fit the foot correctly. And you can kind of see how it looks here where it goes up on both sides of the foot and has the point sticking out. So let me go and heat these up and slide them on. Now, if you're doing printing at home, depending on what you use, you may not be able to heat it up and do this. I have found that some of the resins I use, when you heat them up, they actually just snap. So I'm really hoping this is not the same way. That would really stink, because I actually had these printed a long time ago. Let's just see if they fit on there. I may have to cut some of the heat shrink tubing off to make them fit. My goal was to have it so that it would go on top of the heat shrink tubing, just so that it would give it a nice finish touch all the way over the top. But I can see now that that might be an issue. Let's see how the foot looks on there. Actually, you know what? That would work pretty good just the way it is. So let me stick that back on there. And we'll heat up the foot and put the foot on there. And then once the foot's on there, we'll hold it all in place. Fit, fit. You can do it. Oh well. Let me heat the foot up, and that way it's ready to go on. Let's stick that back on. And we'll stick that foot on there. Yeah, I had that backwards. So hard to remember how you built these things, you know? Like I said, I built it probably over a year ago. Ugh. There we go. That looks pretty savage. Now let's do the other side. Heat the foot up first. Heat this up too while we're at it. Hooray. Pretty cool. Let's get our parts out of the hot water and cut them up. My phone still is not restarted yet from the battery dying. Oh yeah, much easier than trying to Dremel them out of there. Just cut them off there. Oh, my battery's dying on my other phone too. I might have to cut this early, you guys. Now I'm racing against the gun. Let's see, I want them about right there on the knee. Let's dry them off. And glue them on. Now, lots of ways you can do this. I decided just to use the Ultra Gel glue. Now, I could have gone with something else, like a two-part epoxy. And I really did contemplate back and forth which way I wanted to go. I decided to go with the Ultra Gel super glue. When you put it on, you want to hold it on for 45 seconds. I forgot my Q-tips. This is my trade secret. Q-tips cause super glue to dry instantly, so I like to use it around this. So it's a good way to dry it really quick. Get up around those joints. All right, there we go. One knee done. Now let's do the other one. And again, same thing. Stick it on. Hold it on there for at least 45 seconds. And then use Q-tips around it. This one went on better than the first one. All right, let me see if I can find your guys' comments now. While that's coming up, let's go ahead and stick his armor on. Where did I put it? There it is. And I know it's got to be heated up a little bit just because it needs to fit on there. It's almost done, you guys. Squeeze that armor in there. Stick on the Beastman head. Oh, look at that. He is complete. Give him his cool 2000X club. Bump, bump, bump. And let's put him next to Skeletor so you guys can see how mammoth he is. And there is my 2000X Beastman complete. My battery didn't die yet, so hooray. Let me know, like, share, tell your friends. I gotta go, my batteries are all dying. And that's all I got, you guys. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and check out my other videos. All right, that took way too long, but I'm glad it's done finally. I've been putting this thing off now for over a year, so there he is. Let's go ahead and look at him all the way around so you can see how he looks. So, cool, cool, cool. And he is mammoth. Now, if you don't want to go with the Bigfoot one, You can also see one that I've made before in the past, which is this one right here that I used the original Classics body and just put on the different wrist cuffs on here, the giant hands, did the paint job on the armor, and then swapped out the loincloth for somebody else's. Used the heat shrink tubing and then had 3D printed pieces here, and then used the regular shoulder pads for the knee ones so it all matches Classics. You can kind of see how I can also make it work on a regular body. Now it's not as cool because he's not as tall, but it's still a great way to 2000X up one of your Beastmans. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next video. Thanks, Master Far. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, the General Topic channel. Arg's Tail, no doubt this is going to be a cool looking Beastman. Hey, thanks, man. And that's all I got. Thanks. I gotta figure out how to stop this stream. There it is.